everyone's back, you can go ahead and let us know if you're back, if we could see a little bit of yeses that you are attending the session right now, so that I can continue with it. You can go ahead and send us the confirmation. Okay, a few yeses. All right. Then maybe I can go ahead and start the session again. And as requested, I will go a little slow. Pardon me for being a little too fast. Okay, so I guess I can go ahead and start. All right. So let me share my screen right now. One other thing that I had kind of skimmed through was reminders. Let me start with that, and then we will go through time tracking, project management, and banking. That's what I'll be doing. Continued with a few other modules that Venkat will be taking care of. Okay, so let me just share my screen. Give me a second. Yes, I'm guessing you should be able to see the screen now. All right, let me move it through. Okay. All right. So in your Zoho Books page, we have the thing that I had missed out was reminders. So you can click on settings, scroll down, and you can go to reminders. So reminders is basically something that you can send an email which will be automated, or you can also send it manually to your customers or to yourself, so that you know that there's a invoice that is due soon, or if it's already due, that there are a few overdue invoices. All of that can be automated and processed over here. So for manual reminders, you can set up the content of the body here, as well as who are the people who will receive the reminder. So these are the things you can set up over here, all right, for overdue invoices and for sent invoices. So once you go to the invoice, all right, let's go to a sent invoice. Yes, these are the, okay, let's just create one from that. All right, let's just mark it as sent. Okay, sent. Okay, over here you'll have the reminder option. You can click on this and you can send a reminder. So this is a sent invoice. So this will go as a new reminder. If it's overdue, then a different reminder with the body, which you saw over there, will be sent. So this reminder will be sent to whoever is associated with the body of the reminder. Okay, so this is where we are. Sent invoices and overdue invoices. These are the two things you have to do for manual reminders. Other than that, for automated reminders, you can set up as many as you need, depending on certain criteria, right? So it will be from the main user, the admin user, that this email is being triggered. And the reminder will be the customer, and copy me. You can do that, all right? Or it can be sent only to the customer as well. So this can be, let's say, 4 days before or after the due date. So if it's before, then it still will be in the sent status. If it's after the due date, then it will become, then it will be shown the due reminder will be sent. All right. You can CC other users from your organization or BCC, and you can check for the content as well, and you can enable this reminder. Okay. Yeah, you will have to give this reminder a name. Yeah. So it will be in the enable status. Suppose if you don't want this, you can turn it off, and you can also delete it if you do not want it. You can have multiple reminders depending on certain criteria. One for 3 days before, one for 3 days after. One can also be 1 month after the invoice is sent, and if it's still not paid. All right. So the status is what matters, and based on expected date as well, you can set it up for your for all your bills. So this you can set up as well. And for your bill, again, you have the option to create the reminder. All right. And the email too will usually be the people from within your organization, just to remind you that there is a bill that's still not paid for. And yeah, You can set that up. All right. So let's continue with the other, with the timesheet and the project tracking. All right. So you can go to your dashboard, your main page, and then go to time tracking, the module to your left, followed by project. So for time tracking, first you'll have to create a project. All right. After you create a project, you can create timesheets for that. So now the project name you can have. For instance, let's take a real estate company as an example, and they have a lot of houses that they want to keep track of. So let's say house one. All right. So the customer name can be whichever customer that you're dealing with. So pen housing. All right. Now we have billing method. So these are the main, these options are the ones through which you will be billing your customer. All right. So fixed cost project, if you set that up, there'll be, okay. All right. So it will be a fixed cost project. You can track how many ever timesheets, log how many ever timesheets that you need, but still it will be the invoice that you create for this particular project for the customer will be only $5,000. You will not be able to change that. All right. That's fixed cost project. Certain companies would need this in a way that the sale will be fixed, but then they still want to track time for each and every staff and employee. All right. The other option is project hours. So you can set up the rate per hour. So let's say if any time is logged, let's say one of the users is logging time for 5 hours, the project rate will be 50. So the multiplied with that will be the amount that you will invoice the customer. So 2,500 will be the amount that you invoice the customer. So it is project hours. Again, depending on your preference, you might just have the option. You might want to charge the customer based on the project and not per staff hours or a fixed cost. All right. So this is the next option. Another one is your task hours. So let's say you have multiple tasks. Okay. So this is where you'll be adding your tasks. So let's say since it's housing, it could be maintenance. Sorry about that. Maintenance, service. So these are the two tasks. So each task you can set up an amount. All right, per hour. So this will be maintenance $40 per hour for whoever. So let's say some of your staff record tracking time maintenance for 6 hours. It will be charged 6 into 40. All right. Likewise, you can set it up for each task that you create. And yeah, so that's basically what task hours is. This will be the invoice amount that you will be sending. The next is staff hours. Then again, you have another option. Instead of task, you'll be for each staff who's working, you'll be charging the customer based on each staff. So for freelancing businesses, this will be very convenient. So for design, you might charge based on each user, you might charge them differently, right? So yes, you can add the user here. The users will be the people that you already have in your organization as users. If you need to add them, you will have to invite them as users to your organization. All right. So you can choose users, and depending on the freelancer or whoever the staff, you can charge them accordingly. All right. So that is the other way to charge. Okay, so whichever user logs time, they will be calculated based, the invoice will be calculated based on the per hour that you've set up for each user. Okay, so these are the 4 options that we offer, billing methods, and you can also set up a budget for them. This is just for you can set up budgets in a way that you can do a profitability comparison with where your business is standing right now. All right, so I'll go ahead and create with staff hours. All right. Okay, so the budget type will be per staff. All right. I can create, yeah. Let's see, 12 hours, 12 hours for all. All right. And another option is to have approval for the time entries. So a lot of your employees will log time, but then you can also set up a manager who sees goes through all these transactions, all these logged times, and they can either approve it or decline it. Once they decline it, the user will again have to resubmit what they have done. So we'll have it as yes, and just to show you, I'll keep myself as the approver. Okay, and yeah, I'll go ahead and save this. Okay, so the project is created. Currently, it's empty because there are no transactions. So let's log time. Okay, so for instance, the user Mahila, and I will log time for let's say 6 hours. Okay, there are multiple options. I can either put a start time and an end time, and the system will calculate the time, or I can put the duration completely instead. All right, so I will put 6 hours here. And yeah, if I have to add any notes, I can go ahead and do it. Also, the project, a lot of projects will be here. Make sure you choose the correct project. If you create the time log from directly from the project, it will get auto selected. If not, let me show you. If you go directly to the timesheet module on the left hand side, add a new one. Over here, you'll have to choose it. All right, so that's the difference. So I can choose the task in which I had worked. And again, okay. Here, the date and the user, and save. Okay, now when I go to the project, right, over here, you'll be able to see like a graph as to the logged hours, the billable hours, and everything. Here, yes, over here, you'll be able to see the budget. So as you can see, the budget hours was 12, and they have not yet recorded anything, but this user has recorded budget hours is 12, but they've done up till 6. So this just show you where everything is standing. All right, and yeah, you can also look at the profitability summary. Currently, since it's still not invoiced, there's no profitability summary. So now let's go to creating transactions for the project. All right, so once you go to the project, you'll have the new transaction page here. Okay, another thing, just a minute. So it's still pending submission, right? So just a minute, I'll have to go click here. Uh, sorry, just a minute. Yeah, yeah, it is under build. Okay, sorry about that. Create invoice. I think I'll just change the approver. Sorry about that. No, I don't have approval access. I'm sorry about that. So we'll just create the time tracking. And it's unbilled. So you can just, yeah, new transaction. Either you can create an estimate, again, go ahead with the entire sales process, or you can directly go ahead and create the invoice. All right. So if you create an estimate, it will be seen over here. Okay. That the project name is 1, and you can include the task. Okay. And that will be shown over here. Okay. Or you can directly go ahead and invoice it. So only the unbilled invoices that you want to add, you can add it to your invoicing. Okay. So over here, again, you have multiple options to set preferences for your invoicing. So you can have single line item for the project where you can add the labels that you want to show. All right. Account number, whatever you need to show in the item line. If you want to show each task, okay, or each time, if you have multiple timesheets, then each timesheet can be seen individually. Group by users, if there are multiple users involved, by each user. Group tasks and users, you can do that as well. Project name, and whatever you need to show in your item table, you can show that. Okay, and yeah, I'll just click on add so that you can see it. All right, the invoice will be created for that particular project. Yes. So as you can see, under house 1, all of this will be brought in. Okay. So yeah, you can go ahead and create and send. So that's about creating transactions, the sales transactions. Additionally, you can also create, so once the entire amount has been invoiced, this will again get grayed out until there are unbilled time logs present for this particular project. If not, if you have unbilled time logs, then you can create the invoice. If not, you can't. And then you can create retainer invoices, recurring invoices, all of this from here. You can also create purchase bills and everything from your projects. Okay, so this basically will come in handy when you're running reports like your profit and loss. You'll have the option to run the profit and loss based on the project. So that's where if you connect everything together, you'll be able to see all of that in the profit and loss report, even in your profitability graph that we have for the project. All right, so you can create this also. Okay. Okay, and you can choose an item. So this is where it usually gets connected. Okay, a minute. Yeah. So I'll just go ahead and save. Oh, okay. Save as open. So the other mandatory fields. Okay. So once that's done, you can again go to the project. Okay. And yeah. So over here, you'll be able to see that there are expenses that was created because of the bill that you created. You can click on profitability. Here, the profit and loss report will be run based on the sale and the profit that you've done. Okay. 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 Yeah. Let's go to the project again. Okay. Other features that you have is the invoice reference. Basically, you can set it up by default over here, or you can, set it up while you're sending the invoice as well. And you can clone the project itself so that you don't have to keep creating like all the details as to the tasks and everything. You can just clone it directly. You can add more tasks. Either you can just click on edit and add the tasks and users and everything, or you can click on more and also do that. Log time is also done here. If you have any files that you want to attach to this particular project while showing it to your customer or just for your purpose, you can add it over here. Okay, and yes, so timesheets associated to the project will be seen over here. The status of it will also be seen here. The purchases, so the bill that you had created and is associated with the transaction will be seen here. Okay. Yes. And the sale again, nothing related cost. And comments, if you need to add anything just as an internal communication between the users, you can go ahead and do that over here. So we do have the option to show the timesheets and everything to the customers through the client portal. So if you enable that under the preferences for the client portal, that is also available. All right. Just a minute. Yeah. Client portal. So over here, you will have the option to view projects and timesheets. If you enable this, the customers will be able to see it, not edit, but see it and approve it also. Okay, and yep, so that's the basics of how you create a project and timesheets and approvals for the project. So the next thing, another additional feature that we have is we have a Chrome plugin. All right, so you can click here. There'll be a timer. You can add the plugin. It will get added to your plugin section in your website, in your browser, sorry. And here you can just go ahead and log in time. Basically, this is a very easy way for your users to log time for the project and the task while they start doing their, while they start off with the project. And you can start the timer. All right, you can start the timer. And yeah, just a Okay. Sorry about that. A lot of stuff. Okay, so this will keep running, and as you can see, it will also be seen in your Zoho Books page at the bottom. Over here, the timer is running, and whenever you need to stop it, you can pause it as well as stop if you need, and that will get created as a timesheet over here. Okay, so like that, you can go ahead and create the timesheet. Okay, so this was created just now. Okay, so that's one way to log time as well. Another very interesting thing that we have is we have an integration between Zoho Books and Zoho Projects. So Zoho Projects is a very elaborate application where you can set up your projects with milestones and a lot of other features. But the invoicing part, they do not have invoicing and the payment options. So that you can integrate with Zoho Books. All right. So for that, you can go to settings and integrations. And over here, you'll have the yeah, the Zoho projects option. Since it's already connected for me, it's showing as active and show details. If not, it will be shown as connect. So once you click on connect, it will ask you for the email address, the main portal email address as in your Zoho project, as in the Zoho project portal, and the ZSE key, which will again get populated for you, which you'll have to enter over here. And then the portal name, again, this will be auto-populated. And the contact duplication. So you'll have three options, which is either clone or overwrite. So if you have the same contact in Zoho Books, you can overwrite it so that there's no duplication between the customers that's been created. Or you can also have it as clone, just so that you can differentiate between the customer in books and customer in Zoho projects. But overwrite would always be a better option so that there's no duplication. And general timesheets. So if you have just general timesheets in Zoho projects without any, without associating with projects, so those will be brought in here. All right. So if you don't want that, that can also be done. And yeah, so this is the module sync. So this will show you if there are any errors with regards to your projects, your tasks, and bugs. Currently, there are no errors here. So let me show you how you'll be able to see this in your projects. Okay, just a second. Okay, just a minute. Let me change the screen. Okay. Yes, so this is your Zoho project screen. All right. Once you connect your projects, you will have the option to choose the minute. Guessing you can see it better now. Okay. All right. So this particular portal has been integrated with the Zoho Books organization. So you can choose whichever project, all right, which project, these are the projects that will be synced in. You can click on any one of them, okay? And you can click on these three icons and go to finance. So finance is your Zoho finance module, which is Zoho Books. For that, you can create invoices, all right? So likewise, you can select a date range from which you want to do the billing, okay? And save. Okay, so the customer, which will also get populated, the tax rates. So this finance module in your Zoho project is basically the presence of Zoho Books in projects. So the integration is seamless. So whatever you create here will automatically be seen in your Zoho project, in your Zoho Books. All right. So all the details from your Zoho Books will be seen here regarding the invoice creation page. So the customer name, the invoices, and the other fields that you had created in Zoho Books as custom fields. And yes, so yeah, you can add other items. Okay, you can add another item. Yeah. So that. Okay, and you can go ahead and save it. So all the options as present in books will be here. You can save this. Okay, so you can create invoices, estimates, and expenses for this project that you have selected here. You can choose other projects and also go ahead and do this. This will actually make it very easy for your customers to keep track of both projects and books within the same application. So that's the purpose of this integration. Now let me take you to the Zoho Books page. Just a second. Okay. So in this screen, if you see that project that was created, another thing, all the projects brought in from Zoho projects will have the Zoho projects icon beside the project name. You will not be able to edit the projects from Zoho Books. So you can do it in Zoho project, but not in Books. All right. So if you go to the data process and click on sales, you'll be able to see the invoice that we just created. Currently in draft because it wasn't sent. So yeah, so that's the integration between the two applications. You'll be if you've tracked time for those invoices for that project in Zoho project, that those timesheets will be brought into Zoho Books, and you can select it and invoice the customer based on that also. All right. Um, yeah, yeah, that's about the projects and time tracking module. To continue with the session, we have next I'll be talking about banking. Currently, Zoho Books is integrated with Yodlee, which is a third-party service provider for automatic feeds. So you will have to set up bank accounts in your organization, either for automatic feeds or manually added accounts. Only then you'll be able to record payment in your in the sales or purchases. If you when you have an invoice and you click on record payment, you'll be asked to select the deposit account. So if you select the bank account, only then will the accounting part be correct. So you will have to add a bank account. So first you will check the automatic fields. So you click on add bank. All right. Over here, you'll be, these are the popular banks. You can check if if your bank is already here. If not, don't worry. You can go ahead and type it here. All right. American Express. You can integrate both your bank as well as your credit card accounts. Okay. So these are the many accounts we have. So when you're setting up the account, make sure that the URL that's present here is the same URL that you are using. So if you click on it, it will redirect you to your to the URL that we have currently integrated. Just click on that, put in your credentials and see if you're able to log in, which means then it's the same URL that we have integrated in Zoho Books. So you can go ahead, continue and enter all these details and click on continue. So if you have multiple accounts under the same bank account, let's say you have multiple accounts, all these accounts will be listed as current or whichever account type you have, except for loan and interest accounts. We support savings and current accounts at the moment. So all these savings and current accounts will be listed. You'll have to set up each and every account one by one. All right, by clicking on add bank, you'll have to add the same, let's say under American Express cards, I have 3 accounts. I'll have to set it up one by one. Okay. So once that is set up, it will be brought into the banking overview over here like this. All right. So this is an account which has been set up for active feeds because you will have um, the Wi-Fi symbol. All right, it's a PayPal account. So yeah. So for instance, this one is set up for active feeds. So yeah, every time. So usually a lot of accounts will ask you to refresh the account manually. Some of them, because it might be protected by MFA, multi-factor authenticators. So you'll have to go to the bank account and click on the small settings icon. And currently it's inactive, I believe. So yeah. Um, oh, this is a automatic refresh account, so you don't have to worry about that. So, or else you'll have to click on the settings and you'll have the refresh feeds option over here. You can just click on it. Some of the accounts will ask you to input your credentials again. If not, it'll automatically refresh, but it's something manual that you'll have to do. You'll also have the update credentials option that you'll have to use when you have changed the credentials in your bank end. So if you've changed it there, you'll have to change it here as well so that the connectivity between Zoho Books, third-party service provider, and the bank is seamless. All right, it is proper. So you'll have to click on that as well. All right, and this is your automatic bank feeds. If you wish to, if you don't want this to be active anymore, you can always click on deactivate feeds, and that will be done. So that is your that is the adding of automated bank feeds. So you can add any currency accounts again depending on the bank account that you choose. The currency will also get auto populated based on that. The next thing, let's say your bank account is not listed in the list of accounts that we have. In that case, you can always contact us and we'll raise this as a site request to our banking service provider. If not, we also have the we have the option to add a new account. All right. So click on add bank. You'll have to enter your account manually at the bottom of the page. Click on that. You can give the name of the account if it's a bank account or a credit card account. Give an account code if you need it, and the currency, which is again important, currency of the transactions based on that account. You can choose that. Account number, bank name, all of this completely up to your preferences. You can create it. So all the manually added bank accounts will be seen like this without the Wi-Fi symbol. Okay. So in these accounts, you'll have to go and import statements. All right. So there are two ways to do this. One is you can directly, you can upload a file. You'll just have to attach it from your computer. Basically, you'll have to download the CSV file or a TSV file. And currently, we support CSV, TSV, XLS, and these 6 formats. So you can choose that and you can choose it here. If not, you can also send it to your documents folder in Zoho Books, and you can choose it to import. All right. So under your documents, when you activate your documents folder, you'll have this email address that will be auto generated from our end. So if you, let's say from your bank, you can send your statement directly to this email address. That will get those files will get landed over here. You can, it will be landed here. The moment, yeah. So once it's here, and you can select it. Sorry, you'll have the option to select from documents. If you have the file here, you'll have the option here, and you can import it. It's just like any other importing option. You just have to map the fields. Venkat will be talking about importing, so you can do that, and you can import the fields here. For example, I have an account. All right. So all the transactions will be pulled into your Zoho Books like this. Okay. And they'll be on the uncategorized transactions. Just give me a second. Let me move to a different page so that I can show you exactly how it is. Just a minute. Okay. Sorry for the delay, just a second. Okay. So in this, it's a little more easier to understand. So now terminology is pertaining the banking module. All right. So we have the bank statements, so the feeds from the bank statements, and we also have the transactions in Zoho Books. All right. So if you click on this, all of this is from everything that's either imported as a bank statement, or it is something that you have that is being automatically fetched. All right. So that is the bank statement from bank statement. The other thing is you'll have manually added. If it says manually added, that means you have added this as a transaction from your Zoho Books. All right. So if you create an expense, it will be and you associate the paid through account as this bank account, then it will be added as a manually added transaction under your banking module. All right. So that is the difference. And another thing that you will have to do in Zoho Books is match and categorize transactions. So a lot of people get confused as to why you match and when you categorize. All right. So for instance, matching is when you've already created the transaction in Zoho Books. You just match the bank statement with the transaction that you've created in Books. So for instance, let's say you've created an invoice and you've created the customer payment, which means that payment has been recorded in Zoho Books. Now all you have to do is click on the deposit feed, and here you will have the customer payment option itself. All right. So that's where you match it. And we also have the best matches, which will usually show up based on the date as well as the amount. So you'll have the matching option here. But for instance, let's say you don't have the payment, or let's take for example this withdrawal. There is no best possible match because you might have not created the pertaining withdrawal for this particular statement. In that case, you can click on categorize manually. All right, you can create, so it's a withdrawal, so it can be an expense, and yes, the date will be the same as the bank statement. Whichever expense account it is, you can go ahead, click on that, and the amount, if you need to add in any other details, you can go ahead, click on save. So that will be a categorized transaction. And another scale, if you look at this, yes, for instance, there is a vendor payment pertaining to this withdrawal. So it's the best possible match, and the best match, that is, you can just go ahead and click on match. All right. So this process is quite important because once you want to reconcile the transactions for your account, you'll have to make sure whatever in reality with your bank, whatever is happening, is in sync with whatever is happening in Zoho Books, whatever is happening in Zoho Books. So make sure that all the bank feeds and your transaction in Books are either matched or categorized and cleared out from this uncategorized transaction page. All right. So this is one thing that another thing you can match this as well, and the deposits also. All right. So once that's done, your uncategorized transaction will be 0. The next time you refresh your feeds, and once the bank feeds are brought in, again you'll have more uncategorized transactions, and you can go ahead and create that. Go ahead and set it up. The next thing is to reconcile your account. All right. So a lot of accountants would want to do this just so that everything again is intact with reality with your banking. So you can click on reconcile accounts. So click on the small gear icon and click on reconcile accounts, and click on initiate reconciliation. So for now, since I'm just starting with Books right now, I'm going to put for the month of April. But let's say you had actually started last year with creating Books but never reconciled. Make sure that the start date and the end date are correct. So you can put it as November 1st till November last. This is very important because once you create it for November, only then you can create it for December. So the following periods will get carried on like that. But if I create it for April right now, I won't be able to create it for a previous period. I'll have to delete this and then create for the previous periods and then follow through the date order. All right. So over here, currently from April to, let's say, the 28th, okay, my balance is 1279. This will be the closing balance as in your bank account. So with your statement, you'll have to keep your bank statement and enter the closing balance, start reconciliation. And over here, all right, you will have to select the transactions between that period, and that is included in this particular, for this particular period. All right. So since I haven't done for the previous periods, it will all show up. I'll just show you for this period. Okay, so April 2020. So I'm going to start selecting all of that. As you can see, the closing balance and the difference at the bottom that you can see, that will keep getting evaluated based on the transactions that I'm selecting. All right. Yes. So all of that till the 20th of April, I have put in the closing balance, selected all the transactions, and the difference is 0. All right, the closing balance, cleared amount, and the difference is 0, which means that everything in your book and everything in your banking is up to date and it's proper and correct. So I can just click on reconcile. Okay, so you will have a reconciled history over here. You can add any attachments if you need. You can also view this and print this reconciliation if you need. All right. So yeah, this is how it will be. And these are the options with reconciliation. Another option that we have under the banking is to set up transaction rules. All right. Just a minute. Let me unmatch something so that I can help you out. Also, another thing that you'll have to understand is once the transaction has been included in a reconciliation, in a reconciled file, this you'll get this option. Okay, this icon, the tick icon, which means you will not be able to edit it. It'll if you want to edit any of these transactions, you will have to undo the reconciliation, delete the reconciliation, and make the edit so that and then you can go ahead and process the second set of reconciliation based on that. All right. So let's take this. Let me just unmatch it for a quick second. Okay. All right. So let's say on the 20th of every month, there is an expense that will be done for rent. All right. So this is something that will be recurrent and you don't want to go ahead and match or categorize this time after time. We have something that will create the expense. You just have to verify it. Okay. So in this, the common factor will be that the description is expense and rent. All right. Let me just copy that. You can set up transaction rules for that, for those kind of expenses or any kind of transaction, in fact. All right. So you can click on the small gear icon, click on manage transaction rules, and you can create a new rule. All right. Let's say rent. And it's for a withdrawal transaction. And the criteria will be description is or description contains, whichever you need, expense and rent. All right. So you can enter that. And you want this particular feed to be entered as an expense under the account rent. And if you need to choose a vendor, you can go ahead and do that. And reference number, so your bank fees usually will come in with a reference number. You can use that value or enter a value by yourself, whichever you need, and click on save. All right. So what this transaction rule does is it will categorize. It will put up a list of feeds that will be categorized, that can be categorized under this expense. So to show what I'm trying to explain, so you go to the bank account, the main overview, click on this small icon and click on recognize. So these recognized transactions will be based on the transaction rules. All right. So it will show you the recognized transaction is based on the rule rent expense, and all of that will be here. You just have to click on this and categorize now. Why we have this extra step of you to click on it and categorize is you might have multiple sets of transaction rules which might satisfy the same bank fees. So in that case, for you to verify is quite important. So that's why we have this extra step. Yeah. So you can click on categorize now, and yes, so that will be done. So if you have multiple transactions like that, a lot of expenses usually get done like that. You can go ahead and um, click on the recognized transactions and categorize them. All right. Yeah. So that is one of the features. We also have options for bulk entities. Oh, just a minute, sorry. Okay. Let me just go through a different organization so that you can see the. I have more data there. Second. All right. So now bulk actions. One of the bulk actions was the recognized transactions, which can be bulk selected and categorized on the whole. And we also have something to exclude. So let's say you have a lot of you have your credit card charges and everything. But in your credit card, your company credit card, you've done a personal transaction and you don't want to show it under books, though it's incurred in your credit card account. In that case, you can just click on this and click on exclude. All right. And you can say, okay. So this will not be seen under your uncategorized transactions anymore, which means that you don't have to categorize it as an expense. But however, it is part of your banking, so we can't delete it. We can just exclude it and keep it aside. All right. So yeah, likewise, yeah. So if you want to view the ones that have been manually excluded, you can click on this and you will be able to see, all right, which are the ones that was excluded and for what reason they were excluded. Okay. And you can go back again to the main page. And other features that we have under banking are to add transactions. So for instance, you will be going to the purchases and going to the expenses and creating the expense. This is another way to create your expenses. You can click on add transaction, click on expense. Okay. And over here, you can enter all the details that you need and you can go ahead with it. Okay. Like that, we have many other transactions. So all the withdrawal transactions are these, followed by the money in transactions. So customer payments, again, you can select the customer. Okay. And if there are any open invoices for it, it will get populated at the bottom. All right. Let me just see if there's anything open. And yeah, you can just record the payment and you can also automate the thank you note if you need, and it will be sent to the customer. All right. So we have a bunch of transactions which you can directly create it here so that you can immediately match it with the bank feed. But if you want to, keep track of everything properly, then you can go ahead and create the transactions and then match them over here. So these are the main features with banking. Yes. So I guess I'm done with timesheets and banking. Just a minute. Let me just go through if I have skipped on anything or yeah, just a minute. Yes. So far that's about banking and timesheets. I'll put the control over to Venkat, who will take care of the rest of the session. Right. Just a minute.